I wake up at about 7:30 every morning. That has been the last year I started waking up at 7:30. I've always kind of been all over the place because I've worked from home since COVID. But it's kind of gotten into a better routine now that, again, this becomes your full-time job and you're like, okay, I'll treat it seriously. Especially when you're a creative, I think you have to set a lot of boundaries for yourself. When you work wholly by yourself, there's no boss like coming in to check on my progress. There's just somebody at the end of a 2-month deadline like, hey, we're just waiting on you to deliver this. So I wake up at about 7:30. I do my kind of morning routine of just my typical hygiene things and then make my coffee. And then the first hour or two of my day usually is content. So I started as an indie book. I don't know if we talked about that, but I started as an indie book. So I was very used to making my own content to promote my book on Instagram and TikTok and social media in general. That's something I've maintained because I just think it's so important. Because there's a lot of books out there. And so, to make your voice heard and make people see the book that you want them to see at that moment is really staying in touch with your base of people who follow you, who care really deeply, making them feel seen, replying to comments and stuff like that. I have recently hired someone to help me with that, but I do a lot of it myself. So posting and commenting and stuff, that's like the first hour or so. So about 10 o'clock, I call my mom almost every morning and I have a little FaceTime with my mom every morning for about 30 minutes. It makes me feel good and refreshed. She lives in Ecuador, so it's kind of like she's very far away. So it's kind of like our daily catch up, and it's kind of my social interaction for the day a lot of the times, especially when I'm home writing all day. And then I break into writing. So lately, right now, I have finished book 3 and I'm editing and rewriting a lot of it before I turn it in. So a lot of that time is spent like rereading and rewriting right now. That's like the first 2 hours. I usually try to break for lunch. 9 times out of 10, it's an Uncrustable pulled out of the fridge because I'm too hyper-focused on what I'm doing. And I do that basically all day. I'm half on my computer and half on like, let me take a lap around the house and write on my notes app or listen to music. Music is a really, really big deal to me, and it's a really big theme of my books. So a lot of the time I need like very specific playlists on a loop while I'm working. And then about 4:30 p.m. is when I finish for myself, because that's when my fiance gets off of work and then we spend the evening together. So I try to keep everything within that like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to 4:30 time period. When I'm approaching or fast approaching a deadline, oftentimes that gets extended into, after dinner, 3 hours or so working. But right now I've been able to maintain that schedule really, really well. And I like it because I think when I first started working, I dove like head first into, let me write. I just need to write all the time. Like if I'm not writing, I'm not working. And then I started to see a lot of burnout really fast. So I kind of had to set that, like, here's my hours in which I'm writing. And I think when your hobby and your activity that you love becomes like your job, there's an element of like, I could just do this all the time. No, you can't. Take a step back. Make sure you're taking time for like your mental health and to decompress, especially when you're spending all day with people that don't exist in your head. Like maybe have a conversation with somebody out loud and remember that like you're real and things are real around you.